1,000 years ago, the demonic beasts prospered under the rule of the Dragon Clan, and the one who stood at the top of them, the leader that led to their current prosperity, was known as the Demon God. However, the Demon God quickly set his sights on another goal. Filled with overwhelming greed and ambition, he led an army of magical beasts, sweeping through the human world with ease. His goal of engulfing every corner of the world in endless darkness seemed inevitable. But in the face of destruction, humanity's potential was fully unleashed. Humanity gained supernatural abilities, and in the wave of spiritual awakening, some exceptional individuals displayed the ability to control magical beasts, and they became known as beast tamers. In the city of Qingfeng, northern residential area, Su Ruyan, the headmaster of Qinglong Academy, arrived on the scene of a demonic beast wreaking havoc on the city. Her magical beast, a majestic purple lion, opened by firing a purple beam at the demonic beast. It was a critical hit, and the demonic beast was sent crashing into one of the nearby apartments, where the beast came face to face with Xiao Xingyu, a third year in Xiangnan High School. Xiao froze because of fear, and as the demonic beast stood preparing for an attack, its blood splattered on Xiao's eyes. As Xiao stood there, Ruyan's voice echoed, chanting, "In the beginning of chaos, when heaven and earth had yet to be divided, I forged a pact with my heart's blood, summoning spirits from the void. With blood as my oath and words as my bond, hear my command." Afterwards, her magical beast used another attack, which was more powerful than the first, and she was able to finish off the demonic beast before it could finish its attack. Afterwards, she descended from the sky and apologized to Xiao for the destruction of his apartment. She offered him a pamphlet containing information about Qinglong Academy and information about the person he can reach out to regarding the damages to his apartment and compensation. Afterwards, she and the other beast tamers mounted their magical beast and took off. As they took off, Xiao was left admiring them. In this world, everyone dreams of becoming a beast tamer, and Xiao was no different. However, magical beasts are very expensive, and as you can probably tell by the size of his apartment, it's not something he can afford. And without a magical beast, you cannot take the National Beast Tamer exam. As he was gathering his thoughts, a wolf-like magical beast suddenly started pulling on the legs of his pants. In shock, he picked up the beast. He guessed that the beast must have sneaked in through the hole the demonic beast left in his apartment. He quickly recognizes that this is the magical beast, Gale Hound, that was mentioned in the textbooks about beast tamers. Its bloodline is weak and it doesn't require any spiritual power, so it was appealing to Xiao to keep the beast and use it to fulfill his dreams of becoming a beast tamer. However, his hopeful spirit was quickly crushed after coming to the realization that the National Beast Tamer exam was in 3 days, and he gave up on the idea. The next day, he brought the Gale Hound to a beast tamer store. Before entering the store, he thought about the National Beast Tamer exam once more. However, he knows that it would be best to give the Gale Hound to someone who could actually afford to raise it. The shop owner noticed Xiao standing outside. He came out questioning what Xiao was doing standing outside his shop so early in the morning. Xiao showed him the Gale Hound, asking if he wanted it. The shop owner declined, stating that the Gale Hound is from an inferior bloodline, and it has no evolution path. He shouted who would be stupid enough to buy that worthless beast as he shooed Xiao away. The Gale Hound's spirits were crushed, and Xiao did his best to comfort the pup. Then suddenly a system panel appeared above the Gale Hound. This was indeed a Gale Hound in the initial stages. Its loyalty to Xiao was 59, and it was from an inferior bloodline. However, it had an hidden bloodline, Hell bloodline of the epic quality. Xiao couldn't believe what he was seeing. He rubbed his eyes to make sure he wasn't hallucinating, and when he opened his eyes, the interface was still there. Furthermore, this specific Gale Hound had a hidden evolution path. A hidden evolution path? Xiao questioned out loud. The shop owner continued to shoo him away, saying the Gale Hound has no evolution path, and he demanded that Xiao leave now. All the commotion drew the attention of someone who was walking nearby, and this person started approaching Xiao. Xiao was puzzled, and he questioned, can the shop owner not see the interface above the Gale Hound? As he was working through his discovery, the person, Suji, a third year at Xiangnan High School just like Xiao, and the son of the richest man in Qingfeng, called out to him mockingly. Suji hunched over. Oh, what's this? Did our Xiao get himself a magical beast? He questioned. Xiao quickly pulled away. Mind your own business, you weirdo. Su snickered. Is that a Gale Hound? Well, looks like Lena was right. With a magical beast like that, there is no way you're planning on taking the Beast Tamer exam. He suddenly burst out laughing. Well, it makes sense, a loser like you could never pass the exam in the first place, even if you tried 100 times. Xiao was confused. Are you and Lena close? He asked Su. Su chuckled. So you really didn't know? Then he proceeded to tell Xiao that he and his ex-girlfriend have gotten really close, and right on cue Lena came looking for Su. Su apologized, saying he saw an old friend so he wanted to come say hi. Lena acted awkward and shy. However, she really didn't care that Xiao saw her with her new rich boyfriend. Knowing how she truly is, Xiao reminded her that he helped her out when she was down. He continued on saying that she can enjoy spending the rest of her life with some rich loser. However, he was offended that she was trying to act like he wasn't the one who dumped her. After saying what was on his heart, Zhao walked away with Su hurling insults at him. 3 days later in Zilan Square, the National Beast Taming exam was about to begin. As the exam was officially started, all the candidates were allowed entrance to the venue, and Zhao was first to step up, much to the surprise of the crowd. As he approached the spiritual orb to assess his spiritual power, the crowd mocked him for his goal of making it into Qinglong Academy. At the desk, Zhao greeted the teacher and informed him that he is first on the list for the exam. The teacher, Chen Qinyan, the admissions professor from Qinglong Academy, asked if he was Zhao Xingyu, and Zhao confirmed that he was. Su suddenly spoke up from the crowd, "Zhao, you must know your limits. For the past 5 years, only 8 students from Qingfeng City have dared to apply for Qinglong Academy. Not a single one had passed." Su made a deal with Zhao, saying that if by some miracle he manages to pass, then he will drop to his knees and call him daddy. Excited by the deal, Zhao told Su to clear his throat and get ready to call him Big Daddy. Pause. Then he turned to Chen, expressing that he is ready for the test. Before the test was started, Chen informed Zhao that the entrance exam to Qinglong Academy is harsh, and he pointed out that Zhao didn't choose a backup academy, so if he fails this exam he will never be able to apply to any other Beast Tamer academy. With the gossip of the crowd echoing throughout, Zhao expressed confidently that he understood, and with this the test was started, and first up was the spirit power test. Zhao placed his hand on the orb. The orb began to glow, and shortly after the number 316 appeared. Chen read the number out loud, causing the crowd to erupt into laughter. Chen was disappointed because he expected Zhao to be exceptional because of the confidence he showed earlier. He called for the next person, but suddenly the number of the orb began to rise rapidly. In an instant it jumped to 621, and then 711. The number climbed all the way to 1028. Chen and the crowd were left speechless, and one question raced through their minds. What kind of freak genius is this? Spirit power determines how many beasts a Beastmaster can form a contract with, and every 100 points equals 1 beast a Beastmaster can form a contract with. So with a score of 1028, Zhao has the potential to become a 10-star Beastmaster. There have only been a few 10-star Beastmasters in the Dragon Kingdom in the past few decades, and it looks like the Dragon Kingdom has found its next genius. The crowd was in shock, as they didn't expect the loser Zhao to be 2 points away from Yi Shuang, who scored 1030. Seeing that the crowd's perception of Zhao was changing, Su instantly blurted out, "So what if he scored high? The Qinglong Academy exam has 2 parts. Lina added that there is no way he will pass the next test. As Chen was getting ready for the next test, one of the workers approached and secretly informed him that there was a slight error with the spirit power meter, and that Zhao's actual score is 1032. Chen whispered to the worker, telling him to keep the malfunction quiet. Then he turned to Zhao and explained that the next test is the Beast Bloodline Quality Test. He asked Zhao to summon his beast, and Zhao called out the Galehound, who he named Blackfang. After seeing Blackfang, the crowd once again started making fun of Zhao. They questioned why he would waste his talent by forming a contract with a Galehound. Chen was also disappointed. Besides spirit power, the bloodline quality of a beast tamer's magical beast is also a major factor that limits a beast tamer's future development. And the bloodline quality of a Galehound is very poor. He felt bad, and as he was about to send Zhao home, someone in the crowd called everyone's attention to Blackfang, whose coat had transformed into a menacing black color. This confused the crowd, as it was common knowledge that Galehounds have no evolution path. Chen stepped up and he used a tool to evaluate Blackfang. This new evolution's name is Hellwind Wolf. It is in the first stage, the initial form, and it's of the Hell bloodline, an epic bloodline. It is a fire and wind type, with the Hellfire ability and the Hellbind skill. The tool couldn't uncover Blackfang's evolution path. Chen turned to Zhao with a smile, and thought to himself that Zhao truly is something special. With this, Zhao passed the exams, and was welcomed into Qinglong Academy. Su and Lina quickly tried to sneak away. Zhao notices, and he called out to them, asking if Su wasn't going to say goodbye to his daddy first. Su tried backing out of their deal, which infuriated Zhao. He called Blackfang. Blackfang pinned Su underneath its deadly paws. With no other choice, Su called Zhao his daddy. After hearing that, Zhao walked away, saying, "I don't have a son like you now, get lost." Lina approached Zhao, confessing that over the past 2.5 years she hadn't fallen out of love for Zhao, and she asked if there was a chance that they could get back together. Zhao walked past her, ignoring her. As Zhao walked away, Lina dropped to her knees, apologizing, saying she made the wrong choice. However, Zhao never looked back. A short while later, we see Zhao making his way through the busy streets. He decided to call his sister to let her know that he got into Qinglong Academy. He dialed her number, and after she picked up, he greeted her with a smile which quickly faded as he heard the roar of a monster on the other side. After that, the call was quickly cut off. On the outskirts of Qingfeng City, at a farmer's market, a monster was running rampant. As a sea of people ran away, a mother was asking the crowd if anyone had seen her child. At the center of the commotion, we see a white-haired lady trying to comfort a child as they hid behind some debris. Suddenly, the tail of the monster, which resembled that of a scorpion, loomed over the two. Xiao, who had just arrived, made his way through the sea of people, going the opposite direction and looking for his sister. As he made his way to the center of the commotion, he noticed his sister and the young girl were about to be attacked by the scorpion-looking demonic beast. As he ran at the demonic beast in desperation, a prompt appeared in front of him. Blackfang had two skills available for use. The first was Hell Howl, and the second was Hell Bind. The system asked Xiao if he would like Blackfang to use these skills. Immediately Xiao pressed yes, however it wasn't working. Blackfang wasn't using a skill. The monster's first attack missed, and it lifted its tail in the air again, preparing for another attack. Xiao quickly recalled the incident that changed his life 3 days ago, back when that demonic beast crashed into his apartment. He recalled that the people from Qinglong Academy chanted some kind of spell before their magical beast finished off the demonic beast. In desperation, he decided to give it a try. He chanted, "In the beginning of chaos, before the heavens and earth were divided, I pledge my blood," summoning spirits from the void. As he chanted, Blackfang transformed. Xiao continued on. "By blood I swear, by words I bind, heed my commands, Blackfang, and go." Blackfang charged at the monster, and after closing the distance it used Hell Howl, and a beam of hellfire shot out of its mouth, defeating the demonic beast in one shot. Xiao was taken aback by the power a beast tamer holds, but his shock was quickly replaced by concern for his sister. He made his way over and checked if his sister was okay. He apologized for being late, but expressed how grateful he was that she was safe. His sister stood, and she grabbed both of his shoulders, asking how he was able to do that. With a smile, Xiao informed her that this was the reason he called earlier. He got accepted into Qinglong Academy and is now a beast tamer. Blackfang jumped on Xiao, bringing him to the ground and licking him. Xiao sat up and introduced Blackfang to his sister. The crowd of people stopped after noticing that the monster was defeated, and the young child Xiao's sister was protecting was returned to her mother. After returning the child, Xiao and his sister approached the monster's corpse and noticed a stone which was extruding a strange energy. An interface appeared, informing Xiao that this is a monster core in the initial stages. Its attribute was poison, and it had the effect of increasing poison attribute attack by 5 and gives the consumer 10 experience. Xiao was slightly disappointed since the monster core was only in the initial stages. However, even the smallest gain right now will be a huge help, so he fed it to Blackfang. Then he addressed the crowd, saying they can rest easy now since he dealt with the demonic beast. A crowd of people gathered around him, thanking him and hailing him as their hero. The young girl approached him, saying when she grows up she wants to be a beast tamer just like him. Xiao patted her on the head. "I believe in you, young child. I know that you will definitely become an amazing beast tamer." Later that night, as Xiao slept, his sister stood looming over him and saying nothing. She checked his back, noticing what seems to be a tattoo of a dragon. Afterwards, she quickly left the room Xiao was sleeping in, and we see her on the phone with someone, informing them that the dragon rune curse is still in place, and that the seal on the Dragon King's essence remains intact. She raised a question to the person on the other side of the phone, asking why Xiao can form a contract with a beast if the seal remains intact. The person wasn't sure either, and he guessed that this must be fate. The person asked her to keep a close eye on Xiao, and she expressed that she understood. The next day in Qingfeng City train station, the people Xiao saved yesterday had all gathered to see their hero off. Together they put together some parting gifts for their hero, and begged him to take it. Xiao accepted, and when the train arrived he waved goodbye to everyone and boarded the train. A few hours into the train ride, the conductor announced that there had been reports of a beast along the railway ahead, so there might be some shaking. A short while later he announced that they have successfully passed through the dangerous section of the track, and will be proceeding as normal. Xiao was glad that they made it through safely, and the excitement as they neared Longyan City was getting to him. Suddenly, however, the train started to shake violently, and the conductor once again addressed them, saying a group of demonic beasts known as three-eyed giant apes had been spotted ahead. The passengers started to panic, and on the roof of the train, they could hear multiple footsteps. The beast was able to break through the roof and enter the train. Xiao, who was hearing the commotion from the other train car, told his sister to hide, and he ran in the direction of all the screams. When he arrived, he was ambushed by one of the demonic beasts, but luckily he was saved by a magical beast. The owner of this magical beast, Qin Yanren, daughter of the Sky Guild's president, ordered him to get back if he doesn't want to die. Then she and her magical beast charged into the group of demonic beasts using the skill Thunderflash. Zio observed closely, and an interface containing information about Kin's magical beast appeared. This was the three-tailed Thunder Fox. It was of the extraordinary tier and of the Thunder Fox bloodline, which is of epic quality. Its attributes were thunder and wind. From the spear Kin was using and her magical beast, Zio quickly realized that she was the daughter of the Sky Guild president, and was glad that such a powerful beast tamer came to their rescue. He addressed the other passengers, telling them to evacuate the train cars. Giant apes are social creatures, and the fact that only a few were attacking was concerning to Zio, but suddenly more giant apes dropped down from the ceiling. Zio quickly called out Blackfang to assist Kin. Kin was starting to struggle with the sheer number of giant apes, and while she was distracted, 2 giant apes sneaked up on her. Zio acted quickly, and he commanded Blackfang to use its Hellbind skill. The skill activated, and all the giant apes on the train were binded by inferno chains. Kin was surprised. "Oh, so you were a beast tamer too? Well, anyway, thanks for saving my life." Zio blushed, and said it's something any beast tamer would have done. Suddenly another prompt appeared, this time showing Zio that Kin's three-tailed Thunder Fox was suffering from post-battle trauma. He asks Kin if her magical beast has been overly excited in battle, but becomes lethargic afterwards. Kin was surprised and she asked how Zio knew. Zio told her that her magical beast is suffering from post-battle trauma. He continued on saying that he read about this condition in the Beast Tamer's Ailments Guide, and from what he remembered, Thunder Foxes are particularly susceptible to this condition. This was a lie, however he couldn't just tell her that he saw it on a game-like interface. Kin was so happy that she couldn't contain herself. She patted Zio on the back. Then she grabbed him aggressively, saying from now on he is her little brother. Zio's sister, who had just arrived, looked on with an infuriated look. She approached the two, putting herself in between them and introducing herself. Then she grabbed Zio's arm, saying he is her little brother. Sensing the jealousy in the air, Kin decided to tease Zio's sister a little. She grabbed Zio's other arm and pulled him away from her, and saying from now on Zio is her little brother. The two continued to argue, pulling Zio to and away from each other. Zio, who was caught in the middle, questioned how he managed to get himself in this situation. Sometime later, at the central plaza of Qinglong Academy, all the new students had gathered for the welcoming ceremony, and were being welcomed into the academy by the vice principal of Qinglong Academy, Wang Dingsheng, and dean of educations, Lin Kang. Lin Kang asked the students to give them a moment as they waited for the principal to arrive. As they waited, Zio looked back to the train ride, feeling relieved that after the giant ape incident they were able to make it to Qinglong Academy without any trouble. Suddenly, the roar of the purple lion echoed through the plaza. The new students instantly recognized whose magical beast it was, and they started chanting her name as she descended. Immediately after her feet touched the ground, Lin approached her with the mic, asking her to say a few inspiring words to encourage the new students as they started their first year in Qinglong Academy. Seeing Su Ruyan left Zio speechless from how quickly she defeated the Shadow Demon Dragon. He guessed that she was a prominent figure, but he never would have guessed that she was the principal of Qinglong Academy. Su Ruyan took the mic and congratulated the new students for getting accepted into Qinglong Academy, and she proceeded to remind them of one important thing. In this academy, the status of your family doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is following the rules, especially rule number 8. The new students talked amongst themselves, questioning if any of the new students know what rule number 8 is. Su Ruyan addressed the question going around in the crowd, informing them that rule number 8 states if conflicts arise between two students, no matter who feels that they are correct, their conflict will be resolved through a duel in the ring, and the loser of the duel will have to apologize to the winner. Zio was impressed. At first glance, this rule seems weird, but it stops influential families from bullying others or abusing their power. This way, even ordinary students can seek justice through their fists. 2 hours later, shouting was heard from one of the classrooms. Inside the classroom, the student whose shouting was heard in the hallways was in disbelief that he ended up in the same classroom as Zio, whose spiritual power almost rivals that of Yi Ningxuang. Chen, the teacher, asked the student to sit down as class was about to begin. The student sat beside Zio, saying he will follow him from now on. Chen wrote his name on the board, then he faced the students and introduced himself as their homeroom teacher. He hoped that they would be able to gain something from their time in Qinglong Academy. And with formalities out of the way, he asked the students to open their books to the first chapter of the Beast Companion Guide. Afterwards, he started his lesson. The strength of a beast companion is mainly determined by 2 factors. The first is the companion's evolutionary stages. Currently known evolutionary stages from lowest to highest include initial form, mature form, complete form, transcendent form, and beast king form. The second factor is the beast's bloodline quality. Documented bloodlines are ranked from poor to high quality. High-quality bloodlines naturally exert a suppressive effect on lower ones. Furthermore, the attributes of beast companions can create an attribute suppression effect as well. For example, the common 5-element attributes metal, wood, water, fire, and earth follow a cycle of mutual suppression. Wood over earth, earth over water, water over fire, fire over metal, and metal over wood. Beyond these 5 basic attributes, there are other variants like sand, lightning, ice, etc. As Chen's lecture progressed, Xiao dozed off. Chen heard his snoring. Infuriated, he threw a chalk at him, demanding he wake up. Xiao was woken by the chalk, and Chen reprimanded him, asking who he thinks he is to be sleeping during his lecture. And if he thinks he is some kind of big shot, then he can tell the class about the weakness of the sky demon lizard. However, if he couldn't answer such a simple question, then he can pack his bags and leave. Xiao stood up, saying venom sac underneath the sky demon lizard's abdomen is its weakness. Chen still wasn't satisfied, so next he asked Xiao to tell the class where ice condor crocodiles usually live, and Xiao responds saying, they usually live in the Frostfall Lake region of the Southern Dragon Kingdom, as well as the cold pools beneath the Kunlun Glacier Falls. Everyone, including Chen, was impressed, and he decided to test Xiao's knowledge. He asked Xiao what he would do if he encountered a sky-rending tiger in the wild. Xiao smiled, saying he would bite down on his ID card and find a shady spot to lie down. This confused everyone, and Chen pried further, asking him why he would do this instead of trying to run away. Xiao explained that because the sky-rending tiger is a Beast King form mutated beast, so only a level 6 or higher Beastmaster could stand a chance against it. So if a beginner beast tamer runs into a sky-rending tiger in the wild, they are as good as dead. So it would be better to put his ID in his mouth to make it easier for his family to identify his body, and finding a shady spot would also keep his body from decaying too quickly. This answer impressed Chen. He gave Xiao full marks and asked him how he knew answers to questions from the later chapters. Xiao explained that he finished studying the rest of the material. The other students felt defeated, and they questioned how they are supposed to compete with a genius like Xiao. Chen told the class to continue to study the material on their own, and he asked Xiao to follow him. He took Xiao outside the classroom, and Xiao started apologizing profusely for sleeping in his class. He assured him that it wouldn't happen again. Chen told him to calm down. He informed him that the reason he brought him out here wasn't to talk about him sleeping during the lectures. He was impressed that Xiao mastered the entire semester's theory content by himself, and in less than half a class. Xiao scratched his head, saying it's all thanks to his great teaching. However, Chen called him out on his bullshit, reminding him that he was sleeping through their first lecture. He asked Xiao to cut the flattery, and since he completed the theory section, he decided that it would be best for him to dive into more advanced material. He handed Xiao a Qinglong Academy library pass. With this pass, Xiao is free to come and go in the Qinglong library and borrow books for free. With this, Chen set Xiao free, as he no longer had anything to teach him. Xiao quickly made his way to the library, where he wasted no time and dived into some books. A few hours later, Wang Yan, son of the vice principal Wang Dingsheng, entered the library with some of his goons. They announced that for today the library belongs to Yan, and they ordered all the guys to get out. Everyone started exiting the library. However, Yan asked the female students to stay and keep him company. Xiao, who was growing increasingly annoyed by this scene, shouted, "Shut up!" Then he threw the book he was reading at Yan's head. Yan looked around for the idiot that just threw a book at him, and one of his goons pointed to Xiao, exclaiming that he is the one who is disrespecting you, our glorious king. Xiao approached Yan, asking if he has no shame. Yan told him to get lost, as there was no need for him to get in trouble for trying to play the hero. One of the girls Yan was bothering grabbed the back of Xiao's shirt, telling him to leave because nothing good will happen to him if he continues to mess with Yan. She informed Xiao that Yan is the son of Vice Principal Wang Dingsheng. Xiao chuckled and said that must be the reason why Yan is acting like an arrogant piece of shit. Yan started chuckling, and he arrogantly told Xiao that if he dropped to his knees and asked for forgiveness, he might let this incident go. Xiao responded by kicking him in the balls, saying he would never do that. Yan's goons gathered around him, asking, "Are you okay, our glorious king?" Yan shouted, "Do I look okay?" Then he addressed Xiao, promising to make sure he doesn't leave the library alive, and showing him who calls the shots at Qinglong Academy. Suddenly a voice echoed, saying, "What an arrogant tone." Ruyan, who was brought to the library by the male students who Yan ordered to leave earlier, entered the library, and she continued on saying she didn't realize that Qinglong Academy was under Yan's control. Yan was taken aback, and he pondered how she was able to find out about this incident so quickly. Ruyan reminded Yan and Xiao of rule number 8, which states that if two students have a conflict, then it shall be resolved through a duel. Sometime later, in the arena square, the students gather in excitement for the first duel of the school year. As they gathered, they began to question if Xiao had what it takes to win. It is no secret that Yan's magical beast is the legendary quality 6-clawed sky-splitting leopard. However, Xiao's #1 fan from earlier assured the crowd without a doubt that Xiao would win. Chen looked on anxiously from the VIP area. Down below, the referee asked Xiao and Yan to come to the middle and shake hands. Yan smugly shook Xiao's hand, saying today he will understand why the other student wouldn't dare disrespect him. Xiao smiled, saying he couldn't wait to hear Yan's apology after the match. With this, the match officially began, and instantly Yan called out his ice leopard. A magic circle appeared underneath him, and he was surrounded by snowflakes. Then the menacing beast appeared. Xiao checked the beast information. This beast was in the initial stage 1 of the legendary bloodline. The ice leopard had 2 skills. The first was Ice Freeze. Any attack adds a certain amount of freeze damage, as well as reduce the enemy's movement speed and attack speed by 30%. And the second was Shattering Cold, which was a ice sphere attack that locks onto a target and explodes, creating ice blades that cause area damage. But what surprised Xiao the most about the ice leopard was that it was a dual attribute magical beast, with ice and wind as its attributes. He didn't expect to face a dual attribute magical beast so soon. But for some reason he was excited. He quickly called for Blackfang to take the stage. A magical circle appeared on the ground, and the magical circle started emitting a dark aura as Blackfang made a grand entrance. The aura that Blackfang was emitting terrified the crowd. One of them commented that if this was a competition based on looks, then it would be an overwhelming victory for Blackfang. From the VIP seat, Ruyan found herself fixated on Blackfang. She had never seen a beast like this before, but for some weird reason Blackfang resembled the Gale Hound, almost like it was an evolved version of the Gale Hound. But that wouldn't be possible, as it's a known fact that the Gale Hound has no evolution routes. Frustrated, Yan shouted, "Just because everyone is fascinated by your magical beast doesn't mean you will win this duel." He commanded the ice leopard to use an ice crack-rending claw, and the ice leopard swiped its paws, creating 2 ice slashes. Xiao commanded Blackfang to use serpentine movement, and Blackfang skillfully dodged the ice slashes, but in the process of dodging, Blackfang played right into the ice leopard's paws, and it was struck by the ice leopard's ice crack-rending claw. As the fight progressed, Chen became concerned about the attribute disadvantage that Blackfang faces. Blackfang has the fire and wind attribute, while the ice leopard has the ice and wind attribute. So the scene of Blackfang being pushed back wasn't too surprising, as ice has the advantage over fire. Using the momentum, Yan decided to put an end to this. He shouted for the ice leopard to use Shattering Heaven. The ice leopard used an ice breath, freezing Blackfang solid. Yan addressed Xiao with an arrogant smile, saying he should give up now, because it won't be long before Blackfang freezes to death. The crowd looked on anxiously, waiting for Xiao's next move. Xiao smiled, as if he was plotting something. Then he commanded Blackfang to use Rift Fang, Night Stalker. From inside the ice, Blackfang started emitting a dark fiery aura. Suddenly Blackfang disappeared from the ice, shocking the crowd. They recognized that the skill Blackfang just used belongs to the dark attribute. Yan looked around for Blackfang, and suddenly, a dark magic circle appeared beneath him. Then someone in the crowd shouted that Blackfang must have transformed into a shadow. And suddenly Blackfang jumped out of the shadows, aiming to strike Yan down with its claws. However, the ice leopard intervened. Blackfang quickly retreated, and Xiao, who was getting sick of this, decided to put an end to things. He commanded Blackfang to use Silent Claws. Blackfang charged at the ice leopard at full speed. Then it disappeared into the shadows, and from the shadow it struck the ice leopard with multiple claw attacks. As Yan watched helplessly, he desperately shouted for the ice leopard to do something. Ruyan looked at Yan as he shouted at the helpless ice leopard. The skill that Blackfang just used causes a crowd control effect that silences the opponent for 3 seconds, which is why the ice leopard is currently helpless. Xiao reached forth with his hand and prepared to end the fight with a bang. He commanded Blackfang to use Hell Howl. Blackfang started gathering energy in its mouth. It shot a beam of hellfire at the ice leopard, knocking it out. With this, Xiao was declared the victor, and the crowd cheered for such an amazing fight to start the semester. Yan, however, couldn't believe it. He dropped to his knees, saying this is impossible. Ruyan descended from the VIP area and reminded Yan that he lost, and according to the rule of the academy, he must now apologize to Xiao. Yan gritted his teeth and bowed his head, apologizing to Xiao. Afterwards, he stood up and walked away, and as Ruyan addressed Xiao for the amazing ability he showed during the duel, Yan promised to get payback no matter what. Ruyan continued on, saying to Xiao, that is the second student to catch her eye. She is looking forward to his performance in the freshman ranking competition in 3 days' time. Xiao started blushing. He thanked Ruyan for the compliment, but he was curious about the first student that caught her eye. So he inquired about this student, and Ruyen told him that the student is the young genius with a spiritual power level over 1000, and that student's name is Yi Xuangning. Xiao recognized the name. This was his second time hearing about this genius. The first time this name was brought up was at the entrance exams, where he was compared to the genius, and the prospect of facing the student excited him. Ruyen then told Xiao that the talent and skill he showed during the duel is something that should be rewarded. She reached forth her hand and handed him a spatial ring as a reward for winning. Xiao was taken aback. The spatial ring is a ring storage equipment crafted using advanced technology. It can hold everything a beast tamer needs, including food, supplements for your magical beasts, and monster beast cores. Xiao humbly accepted, and as he grabbed the ring from Ruyen's hand, he thanked her. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then watch another one. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.